Hello and welcome to the second video of Overhaul Your Overwhelm. So the first part of the program is about connecting and connecting back to self and what is it about you that makes you you, understanding the impact of stress and overwhelm on your body. And then that way we use that information to be able to move into the second phase. So we're on the first phase still. So the previous video gave you an overview about your life. So you mapped your life and you mapped the things that you are responsible for and your commitments. This we're going to dive a bit deeper into connecting to self, and we're actually going to look at the impact of stress and overwhelm on your body, and I'm going to say, and your soul, as well as your mind. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take you through some information so that I can share some new information for you, or at least consolidate some information. I'm going to share a story about my overwhelm and that how that was another wake up for me, that I could no longer keep doing what I was doing and still be okay in the way I was doing my life. So many of us are feeling more stressed and overwhelmed than ever before. And why wouldn't we be? Because we're on call 24/7, and it's not easy dealing with all of the responsibilities and expectations that we have on our plate. It's not just our personal lives, it's our instant gratification culture that leaves us checking emails, responding to text messages, and worried about responding in that moment ASAP on the dot rather than taking care of ourselves. Oh, and then we try and, fit in working out and eating out and being a good friend, being a good partner, becoming an adult or being an adult, taking care of everything in our lives. So it's no wonder that more and more Australian women, professional women, are stressed and overwhelmed. The busy trap, though, is BS. Many people want to do it all, but our bodies are telling us that we have to slow down. Stress does more than just affect your mood. It depletes your body. It keeps you on overdrive while depleting essential nutrients, amino acids, and neurotransmitters that your body absolutely needs in order to be focused and successful. So whether it's short-term stress like a deadline of something's due, or chronic stress that goes over time of an exhausting job, or maybe several exhausting jobs, stress impacts our physical and psychological health. At least 31% of employed grown-ups or adults say they have difficulty managing their work and family responsibilities. Okay, so we're constantly in overdrive, constantly switched on, and that makes us more likely to suffer from depression, anxiety disorders, possibly eating disorders, and phobias due to our inability to alleviate feeling stressed and overwhelmed. And the effects aren't just psychological. They can actually manifest in us physically. More than 90% of doctors' visits are for stress-related issues. So unless we actually stop and take stock of what this overwhelm and this stress is doing to us, it's going to be really difficult to repair the damage that's been done to our bodies. Chronic stress and overwhelm makes you more vulnerable to everything from cancer to the common cold if left untreated. So knowing the signs and the impact is critical. So stress can manifest in many ways. In fact, 80 to 90% of disease is stress related. And here are just some of the effects of stress. So the psychological effects of stress. There's moodiness and mood swings, irritability, agitation, a sense of isolation, depression, memory problems, poor judgment, and bundled up with that can be risk-taking, racing thoughts, constant worry, poor sleep, and short attention span. Some of the physical impacts of stress are headaches and migraines, muscle tension. I know I hold mine here. Skin problems and irritations, increased heart rate and heart attacks, trouble breathing, high blood pressure, irritable bowel syndrome, hormonal imbalances, hair loss, insomnia, weight gain, sometimes even weight loss, dehydration, osteoporosis, diabetes, infertility, and cancer. In fact, 48% of adults say that stress has had a negative impact on their personal and professional lives. But not enough adults know how to alleviate the anxiety and overwhelm. And so in a minute, I'm going to share some tricks or some hacks to feel better fast. But I want to share with you one of my wake-up calls. So I had an emotional breakdown in 2012, and it took me 8 months to recover to actually be able to get back to work. But that's not the story I'm sharing with you today. So I was previously, before doing this work, a primary school principal. So in 2015, I was driving home from the school, and it was about a 40-minute drive. And but I felt as I was leaving this really tight chest. Now I'm pretty in tune with my body, and it just didn't feel like a panic or anything like that. It didn't feel like any anxiety, but it was this really tight chest where I was feeling like it was actually really hard to breathe. It was really restricted. Anyway, I get home, as I'm driving home, I thought, I'll take, like a Nurofen to see if I could relieve some pain. So I popped a couple of Nurofen as I've stopped at a set of lights, and that did not help at all. I tried another medication that my doctor had given me to assist with anxiety. So I thought, maybe it's anxiety, and that's why the Nurofen hasn't worked. So I took one of these tablets. Nothing changed. So by the time I got home, I was actually really quite concerned, because I thought, crikey, maybe this is a heart attack. Maybe that's what's happening to me. Now, because I know that heart attacks show up in women differently to how they show up in men. And so I get home and I go and lie down, because I think, okay, well, maybe I'm just holding myself incorrectly, so I'm trying to eliminate all these things that possibly could be what I'm feeling. My partner gets home. My partner had something horrible, food poisoning or something at lunch, and was unwell. So it was me trying to work out what the heck was going on with me. So in the end, a friend said, look, just call the ambulance, get taken to hospital, I'll meet you there. So that's what I did. The ambulance came, got me, they packed me into the ambulance, off I went, lights, sirens, to the hospital, not that far away. I get wheeled through emergency, and I have all these things stuck on me. I have stuff, relaxants and all sorts of things. So, they were taking blood, they were doing everything. And at about 2:00 in the morning, I kid you not, they said to me, we can't find anything wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with your heart. You weren't having a heart attack. None of that. All we can put it down to is chronic stress and overwhelm. And I just thought, me? Crikey, here I was thinking I was kind of doing okay after my breakdown, and I was really aware of what it is that I needed to do. Sure, if I think back on it now, I was probably not sleeping very well at all, and probably not doing a whole stack about trying to fix my sleep. I know that I was eating well, because I'm a vegan, we have a very clean way of eating. So then I thought, okay, maybe I'm drinking too much alcohol. Maybe, I'm masking it, I'm numbing it, I'm soothing it. So anyway, that was a wake-up call for me, because I just thought, how many more of these scares can I have before I actually listen to my body that says, girl, you need to stop and make some changes. So that's what I'm here to help you with, to make some changes. But in order for us to do that, we need to get really curious and dig down into how stress and overwhelm is connected to you. So one of the things that you're going to do as part of your task, I'm going to give you two options. They're pretty much the same. One is called a wheel of life, and the other one is called a wellness wheel. They are circular diagrams that have segments divided that are dedicated to different parts of your life. So your recreation, your friends, your food, your exercise, your spirituality, and that's not religion. That's whether you go to yoga or meditate and those sorts of things. So what I want you to do, so in the center of the circle, so you are going to mark, there are concentric circles within the diagram, and you are going to mark how well you are tracking in each of these segments of your life. And this will be, we mapped some of the commitments and obligations that you have in your life. We're just zeroing down a little bit more, and I want you, so that we'll be able to identify sections or segments of your life that you are tracking really well in, and others that you are not tracking very well in. One of the things that is absolutely critical in helping to manage stress and overwhelm is making sure you are taking care of yourself. So some of the things that you are going to be able to help you, I'll just give you a couple to help you reduce some stress, is you need to focus on me time. So this is all about looking out for you. It doesn't have to be a full day of self-care, but a little bit of me time goes a bloody long way. Whether that means you're taking yourself off to get a manicure, whether you're going to your favorite class at the gym, perhaps it's pottering around in your garden, perhaps it's reading a book. For me, one of my self-care activities is baking. I love to bake. And when things are going really well for me, I am all over the kitchen. When they're not going so well, you can't get me any further away from the kitchen. But it's about catching up on your favorite TV, spending time on a little shopping trip with some friends. It's doing something that you enjoy. Another way that you can help reduce stress and overwhelm is to get active. Now, physical activity is amazing for stress, and it helps to reduce it, and it gives you more energy throughout your day so that you are less likely to feel in a slump. So whether it's just walking around the block, whether it's taking the stairs instead of the elevator, whether it's getting up 20 minutes earlier to walk the dog, or whatever it is, actually moving your body is absolutely so important. Letting it all out. So, what we do, particularly as women, we juggle so many balls in the air, is that whether it means writing it in a journal, so getting a journal, it doesn't need to be a fancy journal. It can just be a notebook. Whether you're talking to a friend, whether you kind of into a different to-do list or something, the act of writing it down or turning it into words automatically reduces the stress and helps to improve your mood. So quite often if you have ruminating thoughts, so those thoughts that keep looping in your head and you keep playing them over and over again as a mechanism to keep you and help you remember them, it's exhausting, absolutely exhausting. So by getting it out of your mind, you're helping yourself create some space to be able to breathe and have other happy thoughts. Cutting down on caffeine. Now look, I love my coffee, but I do have one a day and that's it. We go to the cafe, we get it and that's it. So because what caffeine can do is increase the body's cortisol, which is your stress hormone. And then that stress hormone affects sleeping patterns, which then can lead to more stress. Practicing some mindfulness. It doesn't have to be meditation, but mindfulness is about being in the moment. It's not about being happy, sad, or anything like that, but it's actually about being in the moment. So here, while I'm sitting here talking to you, if I'm mindful, I switch my concentration to, wow, I can feel the seat is firm, you know where my feet are on the tile, so it's cool on my feet. So it's actually really switching to the here and now. And that will help you to reduce your stress and overwhelm. Listening to music that calms you down. Music has an amazing ability to help us shift our moods, helps us focus, gets us motivated, brings back memories, and can be an awesome escape. You don't have to listen to the same playlist, but music can just help you, I guess, create some space in between your thoughts. Getting creative is another awesome way, because when we get creative, we get into the zone, we get into the flow, and that's when we are actually practicing perfect mindfulness, because we're in the here and now. We're really concentrating on what's happening in front of us. The other thing that is amazing to help with stress and overwhelm is to say no. It is okay to say no. You don't have to answer that email right now. You don't have to respond to the text message right now. You don't even have to pick up the phone. You don't have to go and have dinner with your friends. You don't have to say yes to a favor. You can say no. And it is okay to say no. We're going to explore some of that stuff further on in this program, because part of saying no brings up a whole stack of fear about what will they think of me if I disappoint them. So if that's kind of what's coming up for you, just recognize that and we will work on that. Another thing that can help you reduce stress is to get healthy. So by boosting your immune system and fighting off stress through eating the right food and taking supplements. Protein is a precursor to serotonin, which is the feel-good neurotransmitter. So stress and overwhelm strip and deplete those neurotransmitters. So having a diet that's really rich in protein is really important. And then there's also, which is, we will get into this, is the negative self-talk. Seriously, we need to focus on the positive, because that will keep you super stuck, super stressed, and super overwhelmed. So your physical and your mental state seriously depends on your ability to cope with and overcome stress and overwhelm, to feel happy and relaxed. So we need to get a handle on it. So your task this week is to complete either a wellness wheel or the wheel of life. I'm going to include both versions. And basically, so the last video, we mapped some of the obligations and commitments that you have throughout your life, so that you can actually see what you're saying yes to, what you're saying maybe to, and what you're saying no to. So we did an audit. This time, what you're going to do is we're going to just zoom down into it a little bit more, dig around and get curious. So the wheel of life and the wellness wheel are both very similar. It just depends which one you want to use and which one kind of resonates more with you. But essentially what it is doing, it is a circle. It is divided up into segments, a bit like pizza slices, to represent different parts of your life. So it might be around relationships, it might be around finances, it might be around your physical health, your sleep, your hobbies, your exercise, all those sorts of things. And what you're going to do is you're going to really get present when you do this. Block it out in your diary and have a look at the different segments on either the wheel of life or the wellness wheel. And the more successful you are in each of these segments, the closer you're going to be to the outside of the circle. So if for finances you're not doing so well, you might rank yourself, closer to the center of the circle. And I think I've put numbers on the wellness wheels. So you might be a 3 or a 4 out of 10. But if you're doing really well with your finances and you're feeling like that's really, you fit in that area, you might be a 7 or an 8. So you're going to assess yourself, and I'm going to say, get really honest, but at the same time, it's not about judgment. It's actually about us working out where you are, where things are working really well for you, and where they're not working so well, because that can be adding to the stress and the overwhelm. We are going to continue to dig deep and get curious about some of the reasons you are overwhelmed, because when we move into the second phase of this program, which is the consider phase, that's where we're going to be looking at the tools, the strategies, and the options for you to put into place to help reduce the overwhelm. But we need to know what makes you you and the impact that stress and overwhelm has on you. So have an awesome day. What I'd like you to do is to take a photo of your completed wellness wheel or wheel of life, and just message it to me, email it to me, so that I can have that for when we have our fortnightly catch up. Have an awesome day. Thanks a bunch. Bye-bye.